2026 a good year to engage in estate planning because of the tax law changes? So obviously any year is a great year to do estate planning, but in 2026 our estate tax threshold is pretty huge. So it doesn't affect most people, right? It's $15 million per person or 30 million that you can pass estate tax free as a married couple. So even though most of us are not in that category where the estate tax may hit, you have to understand that most wealth gets eaten up by creditors and not by estate taxes. And estate planning is a niche area where we can protect your assets from creditors. So 2026, as well as any other year, and I think from what we see in New York at least, every year we're becoming more and more litigious. So every year we're more and more at risk from creditors. So every year is a great year to engage in estate planning for one reason being to protect your wealth against these predator creditors. Every state has its own clock of how far in advance you have to do estate planning to avoid creditors. This is a very general rule, so please consult with your estate planning attorney. But in New York State, we have a 4-year period where if you're transferring wealth to protect an asset from creditors, technically 4 years should pass in order for the court not to invalidate it due to fraud or you trying to avoid some sort of creditors. So this is one reason where you want to engage in estate planning for creditor protection as soon as you can. And one thing to be mindful of, if you're moving your assets into a different jurisdiction like Nevada, which has a much shorter period where creditors can seek to recover if it was transferred, let's say, to an irrevocable trust, their recovery period is only 2 years. But the goal of this information is for you to understand that planning out your estate to protect your wealth is something that should be done sooner rather than later in order to trigger these periods to start sooner and to avoid any creditors with bulletproof planning.